does hermeneutic mean?
It's just a proper study of the scriptures.
Love it.
Right? It's the proper study of the scriptures. And I feel that what we have today is we have an increase in biblical illiteracy. And at the same time, we have an increase in poor teaching from the pulpits. And when you bring these two together, what we have is an emerging generation of believers who don't know the scriptures. And a lot of them have created a Jesus in their mind that does not exist.
Yep.
And a God that does not exist. And one of the things I see happening is that I feel like sometimes we blame the people sitting in the chair for that. You know, we use this passage. You ladies know this passage where it says we should study to show ourselves approved. You know, a worker who need not be ashamed, but rightly dividing the word of truth. And we kind of throw that on the entire body of Christ and say everybody should be a theologian, right? I don't know if God intended for everyone to be a theologian. He did intend for us to know his word, but I don't think he intended for everyone to be a theologian. And I think in context, who wrote that? Paul, right? In context, who did Paul write that to? Timothy. In context, who was Timothy? The pastor of a church in the city of Ephesus. He gave a pastor an instruction to study those scriptures thoroughly. And then he would go on to give that same pastor another instruction. Watch, preach the word. Not preach opinions, not preach man-made doctrines, not preach traditions of men. Study the scriptures, preach the word. So I think when we look at the culture of where the Western church is, I think myself and the spiritual leaders and pastors and shepherds, I think we have to take some measure of accountability for the pulse of the Christian culture. And so when I talk about having a proper hermeneutic of the cross and all these things, I think it's on us, the shepherds of our time, to properly feed God's sheep in such a way that they would properly understand the scriptures and who Christ is and what he's accomplished for us and his return. Is on us to properly feed God's people these things and to not condemn them for what they don't know solely, but to also take some accountability for what we're not teaching, right? And so I think where the scriptures are not known and where people are not going to study for themselves and where shepherds are not taking the onus to teach the word, we just have an emergent generation of believers